All right, music fans, welcome to another deep dive. You ready to explore the world of jazz?
I am. It's going to be a fascinating ride from its birth to the innovations of today.
I love that. Okay, so think back with me to the late 19th century. We're talking New Orleans, a city pulsing with life, a cultural crossroads, and this is where the story of jazz begins.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people don't realize how much of a melting pot New Orleans was.
You're right, it was. You had African rhythms, European harmonies, ragtime, blues, even those lively marching bands.
Exactly. It's like all these ingredients simmered together to create something completely brand new.
It's almost as if they stumbled upon a sonic recipe for something truly special.
Yeah, and it was all about improvisation. Musicians communicating through their instruments. They had that syncopation, that unexpected rhythm that makes
Mm-hmm.
you want to move,
Mm.
and the energy. Off the charts. This wasn't just listening to music. This was a full-blown experience.
Wow, just picturing that New Orleans scene is exhilarating. So, who are the big names we should know from this early period? I mean, someone had to be brave enough to say, hey, let's break the mold and make some noise.
Oh, absolutely. You're talking about legends like Buddy Bolden. Now, sadly, we don't have any recordings of him.
Oh, what?
I know. It's a shame. But what we do have are stories, tons of them, about how his cornet playing could practically shake the ground. They say you could hear him blocks away. He really embodies that early jazz spirit.
Man, what I wouldn't give for a time machine right now. So, we've got this incredible energy, these pioneers laying the groundwork, and by the 1920s, jazz is about to explode.
It was. And a lot of that has to do with a name you might recognize, Louis Armstrong.
Oh, of course. It wouldn't be a deep dive into jazz without him.
Right. He transcended the trumpet. It wasn't just about the notes, but the feeling he poured into every single one. He made that instrument sing, cry, laugh. He was a true innovator.
And he wasn't just playing in New Orleans anymore. This was the jazz age, the roaring 20s, a time of flapper dresses and speakeasies.
Totally. This was music that matched the energy of the time. Bold, exciting, and just a little bit dangerous.
Right. So jazz is spreading like wildfire, but things change, right?
They always do. And as we move into the 1930s and 40s, get ready to dance, because swing is here.
Oh, yeah. Swing, big band sounds, dance floors packed. It's hard not to tap your feet just thinking about it.
I know, right? Think Duke Ellington, Count Basie, Glenn Miller. Each brought something special to the table.
But it wasn't just about the music. This was during the Depression and World War II. People needed an escape.
They did, and swing gave them that. But even with those iconic big band sounds taking over, some musicians craved something new.
Which brings us to bebop. 1940s, a new decade, a whole new sound. This is where things get really exciting for me. We're not just dancing anymore. We're talking raw improvisation, pushing the limits.
Yeah, bebop was like jazz's rebellious teenager. Musicians like Charlie Parker, Dizzy Gillespie, Thelonious Monk, they weren't content with just playing what came before. They pushed the boundaries, played with complex harmonies, and those tempos. Super fast, really impressive.
Talk about a musical revolution. But then, like you said, things always change, and jazz, ever the chameleon, shifts again.
You're talking about cool jazz, right?
Exactly. The 1950s roll in, and there's this almost introspective feel.
Like a smoky jazz club late at night?
Yes. And of course, we can't forget Miles Davis. His trumpet playing, so smooth, so understated.
He practically defined cool jazz.
Absolutely. But then hold on to your hats because the 1960s hit, and jazz throws us another curveball free jazz.
Free jazz was like, okay, we're done with rules, let's just play.
Yeah.
It was all about improvisation, letting the music flow organically.
It was a wild time for jazz, wasn't it?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, John Coltrane, Ornette Coleman, Cecil Taylor, all pioneers pushing the boundaries. It was a statement.
So we've got the birth of jazz, the swing era, bebop, cool jazz, free jazz. And as if that wasn't enough, jazz decides to go electric. Enter fusion.
This is where things get really interesting. It's jazz, but with elements of rock, funk, you name it.
Talk about blending genre.
I know, right? It was a melting pot of sounds, and it produced some incredible music. You've got Herbie Hancock, Chick Corea, Weather Report, all experimenting and innovating.
From those early days in New Orleans to the electric sounds of fusion, jazz has been on quite a journey. It's constantly evolving while staying true to its roots. So what's next for jazz? Where does it go from here?
That's the beauty of it. It's impossible to predict. Jazz is a living, breathing art form. All we can do is keep our ears open and see where the music takes us.
Well said. And on that note, thanks for joining us on this deep dive into jazz history. Until next time.